Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another live stream of Hearthstone, starting rather late today on Friday, January 5th. Sleep schedule, man, just sleep schedule. I was awake and at like 7 in the morning, I had slept for like 4 hours or maybe even a little bit more, and then I ate breakfast and then I went back to sleep. And so I don't know if this is just uh, with the cold weather, the heater being turned on, it causing me the ability to sleep better. Like, frankly, I'm one of those persons that if the heater is turned on high enough, I probably could sleep for way too much. And oversleeping is slightly better, I would argue, than undersleeping, which is normally my problem, but it's not great when you're trying to maintain a schedule. So we're on the European account, as is our new way of doing things. We need to get all three of these things done. It already looks like there would be a lot of post-show play today, but Druid and Rogue, if we play Rogue with Pirates, that will be good. In the post-show, we got the Tavern Brawls done, so we can open this account. This pack, we have a pack on everything. Look at that. Now, I do still debate whether I should just hold on to these packs until the next expansion. But particularly on the European and Asian account, even 5 new cards, even 1 new card potentially is helpful. So, like, I don't think I want to do that. Can we make a rogue pirate deck? Let's see, this one that's called Custom Rogue Wild. Let's get rid of this and let's make a rogue pirate deck in standard play. Which I guess maybe on my America's deck I should make all wild. Like, that would potentially help. We may have to transfer this. Yeah, I don't have enough. Let's see, if we convert this to wild, does it change much? It gives me 1 more pirate. So that's that. So then the next thing to do on a deck like this is, if you can't fill your thing, you then need to fill your deck with cards that would cause you to draw more cards. Let's cast a spell, draw a card. Let's see. 2 of these. We'll get rid of this. 2 of these. We'll take this. Let's get rid of this and take this. There we go. So not a great deck. Not a great deck at all. But it also kind of puts us in an awkward position, since I can't play it unless I play wild, and that means either I'm going to play ranked wild or I'm going to just play a bunch of casual games that aren't going to help me get back up to rank 20. Yeah. I'm not sure what to what to do there. Honestly, I don't know what the best strategy is. Here's a pirate, so let's go ahead and trade everything that's not pirates for pirates, so we can get this part done. We have sort of a decent amount of news, but yeah, almost certainly. I guess what I'm gonna think here is we're gonna just move into a post show pretty quickly today. Friday is always the sucky day. I thought I was supposed to be doing a strategy to avoid it being a sucky day, and I guess I failed to do it this week. Yeah. What was the trick? I think the trick was I was going to do more than what was necessary on Wednesday or Monday. But clearly that's not how we have it set up. Yeah, let's do this. So let's go ahead and start looking at the news. This is video game related if you're playing on PC, but it's not something I'm specifically super focused on. Apparently Intel and AMD's CPU architectures have a security flaw that's going to have to be patched on all operating systems, and there are some estimates out there that the worst case scenario, it would reduce the performance of your CPU. Almost all CPUs, all modern CPUs, Intel and AMD's, by 30% worst case scenario, 5% best case scenario. Arguably, I would say we may find that it is not even a 5% change. I suspect at the end of the day, people will simply choose to go unpatched if it really did significantly reduce the processors or not. One of the things, particularly on video games, is like video games, while CPU intensive, aren't usually stopped because of the CPU, depending on how you built it. It's usually your GPU that is taking more than half of the burden of animating all the graphics. And you need a CPU often as powerful as your GPU is, but it's very hard in video games to even know when your CPU is a problem, because CPUs, usually what would happen that would make you think it's a CPU problem is your computer, the game would consistently crash, or consistently lock up. That's kind of all you can say about the CPU. Or it would overheat. Or yeah, that's kind of all. If your CPU is a problem, that's kind of the only symptoms I can think in general you'd have. Whereas stuttering and low quality and texture popping and things that are really engine problems, just not implementing themselves well on modern video cards, are going to be issues. Like when you fall through the floor in a game, that's, in my mind, because the game was badly programmed. It's not because not because there was a glitch in the CPU. As far as what the problem it's just general ability to access parts of the RAM that you're not supposed to be able to access, where keys and passwords and things could be. On a wider front, this glitch may very well open the door to cracking games a lot easier. Like really easy. It may be the doorway to cracking a lot of things really easy, because I imagine modern secure applications now have to implement some sort of check to say you can't run this program or even launch this program until you have this patch, so we know it's safe. Otherwise, any program you would want to crack, potentially, it can be done, could be cracked. I am trying to get victory. Next article from Eurogamer. Publisher blames PUBG for Lawbreakers flopping. The timing of its launch turned out to be unfortunate, is the quote. Lawbreakers publisher Nexion has blamed the game's disastrous fortunes on PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Which, okay. At least this isn't coming directly from Cliff Bleszinski, who... frankly, I think Cliff Bleszinski would be a little bit wiser than to blame it just on that. Frankly, I'm not sure he's super committed on placing blame. Let's... Probably could damage this guy and mill a card. Yeah. Oops. So, I think the main problem is even ignoring PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, Lawbreakers didn't seem like it was that amazing. Doesn't seem like an amazing idea or game. There's a Eurogame article saying the Kinect was amazing in the museum since the Kinect adapter is no longer available for purchase. There's like a reason they would be amazing in the museum, because it was a special museum art piece that was running a program that wasn't available for just your average Kinect user. So inherently, the Kinect does, as a piece of hardware, what it says it's going to do, but it does it very poorly, from all accounts I've heard. The voice interface stuff seemed like it wasn't quite as good as an Alexa or you know, a Google Home device. But thinking back, I suppose it was the predecessor to those types of devices as far as the voice things, and the motion detection is just not as good as the Oculus Rift or Kinect things, which they're not that good either. So the ideas are still being iterated on, it's just they're not really succeeding. and in the meanwhile, the previous generation, like first generation Vives and Oculus Rifts almost certainly are going to have the exact same experience, where they'll just eventually get canceled and never really have any good software to work on them. VR, as I've said many times, it seems to be more of a failure than a success at this point. Moving on to the next article, PC Gamer has 2018 Independent Game Festival Award nominees have been announced. So, let's why they're going to do an award show after the end of the year is a little confusing to me. Like, it feels like you should have either gotten it done before the end of the year, or you should give it until at least February. There really doesn't seem like there's a big benefit to waiting until the end of the year just in case some other game comes out. Suppose we have to kill this. So the award for excellence in visual arts. I'm not sure I like the idea of all the things being excellence in something, because that's a pretty nebulous term. But it also kind of dances around the idea and the argument of saying best visual arts. But at the end of the day, you're still saying the exact same thing. The nominations for excellence in visual arts are Night in the Woods, Cuphead, Echo. Interesting. Echo is something, I guess, that you could visually argue might deserve to be in there, but the problem is it's the same visuals over and over again. They look really good, but there's not a lot of game there and not a lot of variety there. Compared to, say, Cuphead, like, there's distinct different bosses with different things that are animated in Cuphead. Not really what it seems like is the case in Echo. Everything in Echo is just this black and white in a fancy house aesthetic. A game called Luna that doesn't even have a link under it, so who knows. A game called The Gardens Between, and a game called Chuckle. 3 of which, those last 3 I haven't even heard of. Next we have Excellence in Audio, and then the Tormentor. The first one is Tormentor, Publisher. Second one is Cuphead, and now Cuphead doesn't have a link on it, so I don't know who made this list, but they screwed up pretty badly. A game called Vignettes, a game called Rainworld, something called You're Unlimited, UURNOG, and then UURN Limited. And then a game called Celeste. A lot of games there I've never heard of. But also, I wouldn't want to see any award show just all go to Cuphead. But arguably, visual arts and audio both probably could go to Cuphead. Excellent is in design. You have Into the Breach, Shinshin IO. I don't think that deserves to even be on the list. Wilmot's Warehouse, never heard of it. Baba Is You, never heard of it. You're Not Unlimited, never heard of it. And then Getting Over It with Benate Foddy, which is a game also I don't think deserves to be an excellence of design. In my mind, something that should be excellent in design should be something that is like a real-time strategy that has this wonderful interface, that everything is smooth and easy to interact with while doing a lot. Like UI design, at the very least, should be a consideration. Well, I don't see that really in getting over it. I just see getting over it being a very long level of a game, and that's kind of it. Excellent in narrative, Tacoma. I don't think that deserves to win. A Tin Tat, 1942. Never heard of it. Where the water tastes like wine. Is that game even out? Night in the Woods, Butterfly Soup, and Tooth and Tail. I would suspect, depending on who's voting, we may see Butterfly Soup win again, an undeserved victory. Best student game, kind of pointless to even have accounts like this. IO Interlooping, Don't Make Love, Penny Blue Finds a Clue, We Were Here, Baba Is You, Guardian of the Gears. Nuevo Award, NUOVO. I don't even know what that award would be. But the nominations for the Nuevo Award is Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, Terratica Voodoo, never heard of it, Tin Mississippi, A Mortician's Tale, Cosmic Top Secret, Everything Is Gonna Be Okay, Baba's You, and Kids. Almost every game out there I haven't heard of. Next is a Seamus McNally Grand Prize. Oh, here at the bottom it says, it's worth noting that the Nuevo Award is thinking differently about games as a medium, and but it doesn't explain the Seamus McNally Grand Prize, so I assume that might just be somebody named Seamus McNally's runs the show. That's the problem, is none of these award shows really have any legitimacy at all. So it's just some passionate person running it, or the industry running it. Nominations for the Seamus McNally Grand Prize: Getting Over It, Night in the Woods, West of Loathing, Into the Breach, Heat Signature, and Baba's You. Seems like there is a ton of games not listed here. Maybe this is because it's only games that go to the Independent Games Festival, and only independent games at that point. Like, yeah, it seems like they are limiting themselves to independent games. So, like, without just immediately turning to one of my favorite games, Binding of Isaac, and the latest update on that, which may have come out in 2017, but may have come out in 2016. I think it was 2017. That latest expansion being Afterbirth Plus. Off the top of my head, I can't think of all the independent games, and like I think it's probably a little crazy and a little silly to split games up that way. Because more than the movie industry, but probably a little less than the music industry, independent game makers make games as good as AAA game makers, if not better. Because a lot of AAA game makers make terrible games because they put microtransactions into them and ruin them. Now, in the movie industry, an independent movie is actually going to lack in the budget to budget and talent to perform well. And in the music industry, an independent musician selling their music on iTunes can be as good, if not way better, than the label producing, the music labels that produce generally very generic and populace friendly song music. Moving on, Binding of Isaac developer. No coincidence I just mentioned the Binding of Isaac. I moved forward to this article. Has delayed a turn-based puzzle RPG called The Legend of Bumbo, which was teased in March 26th, and I'm not sure that there was actually. I'm not sure this is actually ever gonna be made, or if this was just a joke. Like, Ed McMillan is the creator of The Binding of Isaac, and like maybe it makes sense to expand the game out. There's not too much more you can do with what you've got. Like, you can continuously add more items to The Binding of Isaac, but it has too many already. You could try to put in a few more gameplay modes, but it's pretty much been hammered to perfection, or hammered so thin that there's nothing more you can add to it. Taking a break off and potentially making a Binding of Isaac 2 in 5 to 10 years would be a better move than just continuously working on the same thing over and over again. Giant Bomb has actually started reviewing some games and playing some games. There's the Pirate Quest done. So, destroy 40 minions, not a big deal. And just to keep it interesting, we needed to get Druid and Rogue victories. So this one wasn't working. Do we have any Druids? If I played this 5+ Druid deck, it's not going to work. So we can try Death, or we can try Custom Rogue 2. We'll try Custom Rogue 2. So, they covered Shadowhand, from the creators of Regency Solitaire. I'd like to play Shadowhand. While it's still the same Solitaire game, which inherently that's going to drastically either let you be into the game or not. I mean, if you're not into playing a Solitaire game that is well, if you're not interested in playing Solitaire games, you're just not going to be into the game. But on top of that, there's a lot more. He's added a complete, if not slightly minimal, RPG system into it, where you're getting equipment that is increasing your stats, and I'll take that. As you increase the as you increase your stats, you can do more damage to enemies, and sometimes you're actually battling people, and you have to attack them with a gun or sword and kill them instead of just clearing the board of Solitaire cards. Let's see. Let's start with this. So yeah, I'd like to play Shadowhand. It's $16 brand new. It is asking a lot though. It's Regency Solitaire was a relatively decent length game for a Solitaire game, but it didn't have like an endless mode, and I never once thought about going back and playing it again after I'd played it. If anything, I thought Regency Solitaire may have been a little long because there was some quests and getting perfect on everything that was asking quite a lot. 3 damage to an enemy hero, or this. And play this. And they also covered Blossom Tales, which apparently has been on Steam for a year, and I hadn't heard of it. It's a Game Boy Zelda style game. It's not 3D Zelda, it's the old 2D Zelda. And it's on PC, and I really would like to play it. Again, probably a little expensive though. The problem here is neither one of these games were out or covered when the Steam Summer Sale was on. They weren't on my radar. They probably won't be on my radar by the time I get to the Summer Sale. And that's gonna be a shame. Yep. Let's see. A game called Hello Kitty Cruisers has been rated for the Switch in Germany, so there is a chance that there will be a Hello Kitty racing game coming out worldwide, to the West at least. The only thing I would say specifically about that is that there is a chance that Hello Kitty might not come out to the rest of the world. Just in the fact that I need to discover a death rattle card. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to do this. There we go.
Here we go.
The owners of the Hello Kitty license in Japan were trying to be more picky about the Hello Kitty license and what it was going to be on, what it wasn't, because particularly in Asia you can buy Hello Kitty everything, like entire stores dedicated to just Hello Kitty themed things, whereas in I suppose the rest of the world that it hasn't been as big of a deal. And I desperately need more minions. Let's see. Apparently this game was on Steam already, so apparently only 9 people have reviewed it too. It seems like it might only be co-op play. I'm gonna do some more research. If this is on Steam, it might be worth looking at, but it also was on Wii U, so it's not a particularly new game. That might send me down an odd pattern where I just look at a bunch of Hello Kitty things and see if maybe that would get me some more views.
Here we go.
This is the one card you would want with a rogue, but I just can't play any of these other cards. There's a Metroidvania style action RPG called Feudal Alloy for the. It's been announced for the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. Let's switch over to the Steam website. I really hate how Steam Enhanced has changed the interface of Steam ever since I installed it. I know it's got to get that information in some way, but I find it annoying too. I'm on the European account right now. It'd be great if somebody wanted to jump on and help me win. This would be a great day to get that stuff done. So what's weird about this feudal alloy is you're playing as this kind of robot, and the art style is, what would you call something like this? Like school notebook art style. I don't know if that's the right phrase. Cardboard cutout art style.
The pleasure is mine.
Let's see.
Job's done.
Like, well, it looks like a robot. Adventure time. Maybe that would be the best way to phrase it. It's an adventure time art style. Yeah, that might be the best way to do this. So being a little bit different in its looking would both potentially be a good thing and might be a bad thing. I certainly would have to think about that game a little bit more. Let's see. There's a 2D puzzle platformer called Albert and Otto coming to the Xbox One and PS4. Xbox One January 10th, PS4 January 16th. It was already released in October in 2015, followed by Android in November 2016. So not particularly a great game. I'm looking at the reviews and it's mixed. All reviews are mixed, and let's see. So that puts me in a weird position, because a game like this, since it's coming out to a new platform and coming to consoles, I kind of want to play it just to be if timely, if I could get it out before the release date of January 16th and cover the entire game, but I won't have time for that. So in the end, like, the only reason I would even consider this game is because it's being released again. It has a look that is somewhat like Limbo, but if I was going to play a game that was somewhat like Limbo, why not instead play the sequel to Limbo? Let's see. Moving on. Gamma Sutra has a video of spicing up sprucing up cameras with math. I don't see why anybody would really be too interested in that unless you're specifically doing math things. Give me a death rattle card. I will take this and do this and then do this and do this, and that is just perfect.
Here we go.
That is exactly what you want. something that goes back in your hand and holds all of the things. The Spanish government has axed a $2.4 million in funding for indie development. Let's see. There's a picture here of the game Rime. I wonder if Rime got some of that money. Funded by the European Union, the grant would have given €50 to €150 to 20 different developers with a particular focus on small studios of 5 or few members working on the first game. While Spain isn't the world's biggest games market, as it is a major player as the 4th largest market in the European Union and the 9th largest in the world. You're probably familiar with some of the country's studios too. Tequila Works released Rime and Sexy Brutale last year, and newcomer 4Attic is now working on a cartoonist adventure game called Crossing Souls, following a successful Kickstarter. Beauty Fun Games released Nelhumbra and has a top-down drawn puzzle game. So this is a rather nice article by PC Gamer here. Details, facts, short and to the point. Only one annoying advertisement right in between the top and the rest of the game, of the thing. Yeah, if only PC Gamer was always this short and to the point. So yeah, the European Union didn't want to fund it, and then the Spanish government didn't want to fund it. So, and that when you look at the Spanish government, I don't think they have the money to fund a lot of things. So that makes a lot of sense. That kind of sucks for any growing video game in Spain, but whatever. I mean, what can you do? There we go. He got one victory. I wonder if he realized I muted him. The sad truth is that even with the limited emoticons that you can do, there is a significant amount of benefit and frustration all in one that just irritating your opponent by saying greetings, greetings, greetings can do. And Hearthstone could very easily just say, let's never let them emote at all. Let me have an option in the options menu where it's like no emotions at all. None of these. I don't want to hear any of it. I suppose we could play this again and steal another card. Let's see, a 2D action MOBA called Hyper Universe is going free to play this month. So, never heard of Hyper Universe. Let's watch the trailer since there's not going to be a ton of news today. I am in also kind of a weird position because I am not 100% certain that I will be able to... What was I going to say? Yeah, I pay attention clearly. This is the problem of oversleeping, is that you don't wake up early enough to get all of the wrinkles out of your head. I can't even think of the phrase. This game looks cool, honestly, but it's a free-to-play game, so I'll never play a free-to-play game.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Like, there's no reason whatsoever to recover free-to-play games. Oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that now that I'm recording 30-minute episodes, I'm running into an issue where eventually, not anytime soon, but eventually I'm gonna have less Hearthstone videos than anything else. And it's gonna start to make sense to either break down Hearthstone episodes into 30-minute videos themselves or do something different. Like, we've been going about 45 minutes, but I think I just want to do one long video today. So this is an interesting article on PC Gamer. A small part of Diddy Kong Racing is explorable in the Unreal 4 engine remake. So Diddy Kong Racing must have been originally in an Unreal Engine. That would be at least my assumption. I'm looking at the video now. It looks pretty good, but I would argue that there is a texture issue eventually. Like, you're just eventually gonna not be able to do what you want to do at that level. So it seems like they're probably pushing it as far as they can go. Diddy Kong Racing is an interesting one. It's surprising that there hasn't. These textures may be new. Actually, come look at it. Since I've recently have played the beginning of Diddy Kong Racing, these textures don't look the same at all. The thing is, Rare made Diddy Kong Racing, so Nintendo or Rare themselves are both just not really interested in moving forward with something like that, like bringing it back and re-releasing it. Nintendo has Mario Kart, and it would certainly eat into Mario Kart's territory to bring out Diddy Kong Racing, even though Diddy Kong Racing had this hub world and these balloons that you needed to unlock different worlds, and actually Diddy Kong Racing had helicopters and well, not helicopters, planes and things before Mario Kart did, so Mario Kart just stole all the ideas. It's really, this demo seems to only be showing the first area and not even all of the hub area, just the first section. The first area in itself is rather nicely thought out as a place to design, because it has water, it has grass, it has several different areas. As a snowy section, as a tunnel section. Let's try something here. If I do this and this, and then we do this, and then do this, and in the turn, I would kind of hope that this demonstration of it would push it to get re-released, but I suspect it won't. This is, let's see. Even an article says, quote, It's incredibly unlikely we'll ever get Diddy Kong Racing on PC, even though it was developed by Rail. It's equally unlikely Nintendo has any intention of returning it to the Series either. But for anyone wanting to revisit the small part of the game from scratch, nostalgic, someone has recreated what appears to be a small part of the game hub, created by CryzenX. Watch the video above. There's a download link in the description of the video. So it's a fan proof of concept, and probably nothing more of it is ever going to happen. So I wanted to throw this and see what happens, because this is going to return this weapon with none of the enhancements on it. That's what I thought. That sucks. Everybody's favorite person to hate, Ajit Pai, FCC chairman, has canceled his CES appearance over death threats. Good call. I want to make a joke like, if there were more action and less talk, but I don't want to get. I don't want to actually encourage anybody to threaten Ajit Pai.
Here we go.
Burnout Paradise HD Remaster is coming to the PS4 on March 16th in Japan, which is interesting because the HD Remaster was launched in 2006 for PS3, 360, and PC. So in January, we're seeing a lot of games that have already come to PC just coming out on re-releases for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Let's see, we don't have that much more to do except for the victories. So there's going to be some off-screen play almost certainly to get Druid and Rogue victories in the European account. Good news is we don't have any Tavern Brawl thing to need to do. Let's switch over to the Asian account and look at that. And even though I'm now pretty much always cheating on my main account with a second as much as I can, just by playing my cell phone account, it's only saving me maybe an hour or two. A lot of these streams are still going for like 7 hours, 6 hours, and while that kind of helps people actually watch, it also really sucks. Let's see, we need to trade something, and since there's no overlap, I'll just get rid of the victory one, and that still doesn't really work. So well, let's come back and open a card pack first. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is getting a free roam mode on PC. That might give me reason, I suppose, to go back and play Vanishing of Ethan Carter yet again. See, I already got the Tavern Brawl here. But probably not. It'll also be included in the Xbox One release. But I guess maybe that is the may part of this, as it's phrased on PC Gamers. It may be coming to PC. I don't know how much changes though in a free roam mode, because there were certainly some triggered events in the Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and if you can just walk around the entire place and you don't have to trigger any of the things, I'm not sure what you're really going to see. There is an entire maze full of ghosts if you just turn that maze full of ghosts into free roam mode, you're just going to walk around a rather small maze, and you're not going to be able to solve the puzzle unless all puzzles just have a button to say automatically solved on them. Apparently, the Crypt of the Necrodancer artist has gotten engaged to his own game. Let's see.
None can escape my fury.
Victory or death.
So, they built a crypt. They built a special version of Crypt of the Necrodancer to say, "Will you marry me?" and things like that. Not so original. We've seen that several times before in other things. There's this weird looking game that PC Gamer's talking about called the Red Strings Club. It feels like another one that they were paid to advertise. A cyberpunk game about weirdos and underdogs. Let's see.
I feel empty inside.
3 games in one, each with a different slice of dystopian future. It feels like it's just mini games or some kind of point and click thing. Like, the Red Strings Club doesn't have an official release date yet. So, yeah, this is clearly advertising. If you're talking about a game before it even has a release date, you've been paid to talk about that game. And clearly PC games. Gamasutra says, has an article called How Devs Design the Lego Games to Appeal to All Ages. I like the Lego games. First bold title, as we'll just skim this thing, appealing to fans with in-jokes. I felt that was particularly true in the original Star Wars couple of games. Lego Star Wars The Complete Collection was the merging of the first couple Lego Star Wars games. Whereas once they started talking, and they started to, in many instances, not have in-jokes or be as funny, and they certainly got lazy in quite a few of the later games. And I haven't played some of the latest games, so it's kind of hard to know for certain. The golden rule is the next paragraph. The game's art direction is another factor that contributes to the franchise's broad appeal. Yes, it is colorful and busy, but still mostly understandable. The general idea of just breaking things works rather well. Introducing new challenges or distractions. I don't know, sometimes they would go really, really wild on some of these things that they would introduce. Moving on, next one is focus testing and play testing. Yeah, I would hope that they had some of that, but focus testing and play testing seems to overwrite quality assurance, particularly on the PC versions of a lot of these Lego games. PC versions just don't run well. Moving on to the next article, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds would like to see it made into a movie. I'm sure he would. Get as much money off of this flash in the pan as quickly as possible. It was reported, but there's no real article here. that, and I went and checked it myself, all the Transformers games have been taken off Steam, at least in the United States, it seems. So one has to assume that they lost the lion, they lost the license to the games. So yeah, that kind of sucks, because if I had known they were going to lose the license to Transformer games, I'd probably bought them, even though a lot of them probably suck. But so if those pop up and they get relicensed or something, that'd be something to keep an eye on. But it is also just the way of Steam, and inherently that this is why I buy a lot of games on Steam that I don't directly have decisions to play immediately. Is that I just want them in my collection, ready to go. Next article: the Uncharted: The Lost Legacy creative director Sean Escayg, Escayg, has left Naughty Dog after 7 years, which I think that probably is as good of an indication as anything that they are done with Uncharted. There will just not be any more. I would hope that they move on to something different, but also if the creative director, like, I don't feel like too many creative directors just love the thing they're working on so much that they wouldn't want to make the next thing. And so either the company wants to go in a completely different direction, or the company doesn't want to go in any direction. Otherwise, I think you probably would have stayed longer. 7 years is a long time, but not that long to stay in one job. It's a lot longer in the video game industry than it is the rest of the years. Let's see. PC Gamer had this list of the best indie games to play right now. Let's look at them all. Number 25 is Gone Home. 24 is Proteus. 23 is Paper Please. 22 is M++. I've seen M++ advertised many times. I never really felt like it was something that interested me. 21 is West of Loathing. It's just a list of indie games. 20 is Crypt of the Necrodancer, a game that I don't think I could ever play. I just don't think I'm rhythmic enough for it. 19 is Bastion. 18 is Her Story. 17 is Dungeons of Dreadmore. Never even heard of that one. So these lists are potentially more helpful. They're more helpful than you would think, just to find old games that are slightly worth playing. Lovely Planet is number 16. I tried to play that, didn't like it. 15 is Defcon. Eventually I'll get around to playing Defcon. 14 is something called Oikespiel. Oikospiel, one word. It's a dog opera game. What in the world? I'm gonna look at that one. The Stanley Parable is number 13. Soma is... Let's see, do I own Soma? That we've long since gotten past the point where I can't remember if I own the game or not. Number 11 is Thumper, a game I would like to have, but I don't. Skip to the next page. Number 10 is Nidhogg 2. I would like to own it, but I don't think I'd ever play it. Fez, I do own Fez. I haven't gotten around to playing it. And then Night in the Woods is number 8. I think Night in the Woods is overhyped. It's getting down to the point where I should just play Night in the Woods just so I can, in my head, in my own personal decision, say this game is overhyped. They're talking about it way too much. No problem. Number 7 is Kentucky Route Zero, a game that came up and then kind of disappeared. So again, don't know. And then 6 is Stardew Valley, played that. 5 is Undertale, I have that, haven't played it. 4 is Kerbal Space Program, honestly I don't think so. The thing about Kerbal Space Program in particular is that there's just this level of let's go ahead and kill this. There's this level of frustration with KSP, Kerbal Space Program, after you played it for 100 hours that it makes you kind of regret, at least in my instance, it made me feel like a lot of the time I spent on it was a waste of time. Because it's just this unfinished product that they're claiming is finished. Number 3 is Hollow Knight. A lot of these decisions are heavily skewed to the newer games and some of the older games. Like, kind of obvious they would have been the top few games a few years ago. Just so as the older the game gets, the more people stop talking about it, the less people like it. Number 2 is Darkest Dungeon, I have that, and number 1 is Spelunky. So there's the thing about this list is it is kind of a mix mash of PC gamer people also making the list, so it's just this weird, it's not any one person's opinion, so you don't know how to trust it, who to trust, or how could you trust an entire group. And inherently I think that is the problem with all big video game review sites, is once you start hiring somebody else and they have a different opinion, it makes it a lot more difficult for reviewers, for readers, to know, is this a review by the person's whose opinion I've learned to trust, or is this done by somebody who's just getting paid $30 to write this article and their opinions are completely different? Speaking of opinions who are completely different, I don't want to get into a rant or anything, but Laura Kate Dale did casually mention on the latest Jimquisition that she was mentioned in a PewDiePie video, her article was, and she's like, I don't even remember why I was mentioned. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you were mentioned, your article was mentioned and talked about by the biggest YouTuber out there, most popular YouTuber out there, and you don't even bother to follow up and see and hear the feedback that you might be getting. And the mention was that she wrote a provocative article, which is all she does write, pretty much, saying how Cuphead's difficulty was infuriating her, and it wasn't fun. And PewDiePie responded to that, and other people, mostly Kotaku and Polygon, who are in my opinion the worst. And I would not enjoy following their articles at all. I don't even enjoy seeing when they're mentioned by other people. But yeah, she does. What struck me there is you didn't even, you got some notoriety and you didn't even bother to follow up and see why you got that notoriety. You got mentioned, you got some feedback, and you didn't even bother to follow up on that feedback and know what it was and what it was said. You just forgot about it. So, I mean, if you can't listen and remember your feedback, then you're not ever going to improve in any job. On my case, I would argue that sometimes I over listen to feedback. Somebody will say, I can't hear the music, and I'll turn the music up probably too much. Oh, I can't attack heroes. That sucks. Honorable mentions as far as indie games: Cave Story Plus, Audio Surf 2008, Mark of the Ninja, Braid, Hotline Miami, Steven Sausage Roll, Don't Starve, Devil Daggers, Life is Strange, which arguably feels a lot different from an indie game, and I don't think it really was an indie game. I'm pretty sure it was released by Square Enix and published by Square Enix, so it's not an indie game. Yeah. Gravity Boots. Then at the bottom, some online stores give us a small cut if you buy something through our links. Read our affiliate policy for more information. And Gravity Bone was the other game mentioned. So an article like that's probably not worth much as far as actually listening to it, but it is worth something by reminding me games exist in the world of Steam, where there's thousands and thousands of games always available. Yeah, we'll kill one of these guys. Just a reminder. One of the things that's weird here is some of the links I clicked on took me to Steam. Some of the links I clicked on took me to a DK website. Some of them took me to the Humble Store. So they're specifically picking links that will give them money when they mention a game. Let's see. And I'm on the Humble Store. There's a couple of jobs I want to look at. Yeah, the Humble Store just has the staff picks sale. Let's see. Let's go back to Twitter and see if there was any other news. It's a slow Friday. Nobody on the chat. No surprising there. Give me hero +4. Attack. Destroy a damaged minion. Attack this. You know, it's kind of a shame that Gearbox canceled Battleborn so quickly. Like, it probably was the right move, but if PUBG had just come out a few months earlier as such a big success, you probably could have shifted Battleborn into something like PUBG, and they could have tried at least, and maybe given it some more life. That just occurred to me, but yeah, there's no news. There's no news. So a company called Sanzera Games is hiring for an environmental office artist, which this will be an interesting job listing because we haven't had an environmental artist yet. So the location is Foster City, California. As a world environment artist, you will work directly with the game directors and discipline leads to help define breathtaking scenery. Responsibilities creates in stages, worlds, and scenery to set the tone, vision, and storytelling. Staging a world, I imagine, is it bright afternoon or dark midnight or something in between. Constructs 3D environments including modeling, mapping, materials, lighting effects, atmospherics, collision, and tagging. The thing that's really weird about this is you really can go down this rabbit hole of being an expert at lighting and effects and atmosphere and collision detection, I imagine, is what they're talking about when they say collision. And tagging things is really just labeling this. Is this a rock? Is this grass? Because they may have to come back and say turn down the grass because it's taking too much processing power on the GPU. Develops, experiments, and advances the environments by innovating new techniques. I'm not sure there's a lot of development in techniques of environment design, but I mean, certainly something to continue working on. Where are we here now? We have a paladin or druid or rogue. I'm going to be playing so much druid and rogue stuff. Let's see, do we have anything here that would like work? Like I have the same death rattle deck for rogue both on the Asian and the European account, it seems. Manages all the assets and data associated with the environments, thoroughly understands the art pipeline and integrates assets into the game. I don't thoroughly understand the art pipeline, but I imagine the creative director has an idea, he suggests it to an artist, the artist submits some things for approval, like some reference sketches or reference models, and then the creative director probably approves that, and then it goes down the line to whichever artist it should be given to. And if you're the environment artist, there may not even be some reference sketches. Thoroughly understands hardware limitations and common techniques. I'm not sure how thoroughly an environmental artist would understand that stuff, but it's trial by fire, really. Like, if you're making a walking simulator, the requirements are a little bit lower than if you're making a first-person shooter with a lot of like AI characters running around. Works directly with other artists, designers, and engineers to complete environments. Experience and skills: 2+ years in the industry experience working on different platforms. That seems like asking too much, because if you're working on different platforms, you're going to almost certainly have had to work for more than 2 years. Like, if you worked 2 years only, you probably only worked on one game. It's more likely you're talking 4 to 6 years experience to work on different platforms. Working knowledge of Photoshop, Maya, and other 3D software. Okay, that is a fair requirement. Strong sense of architecture and natural scenery, including form, color, and composition. So if you wanted to be an artist in video games, here's some classes you should take: architecture, art appreciation, art understanding for art form, art color, composition. If you're taking high level classes that detail each of those parts as a separate class instead of one single art appreciation class. Strong sense, ability to manage and maintain the entire world's assets. So that's just being organized. That's just, don't waste your time making a tree if you've already made a tree, and knowing you've made a tree. And yeah, inherently that's something I probably personally would be pretty bad about, but that's something you should probably work on in any job. Let's see, architectural background and or related field is a big plus. So they're wanting you to make more buildings than trees. That probably comes from the fact that making trees is pretty easy. I mean, there is this plugin for almost every thing that I know of called Speed Tree that will immediately just place trees down. Buildings and big grandiose things, buildings in particular, things you wouldn't see in the real world. The parts of architecture that they probably don't care about is, would there be a plumbing pipe that be there or not, because for other gameplay reasons, if they want a plumbing pipe they're in a place, they will put it. If they don't, they won't. Let's go ahead and play this. And then this. And working knowledge of Unreal and Unity, a big plus. So the two major development platforms that aren't proprietary platforms, like the CryEngine, which is more of a proprietary platform engine. Ability to multitask and adapt easily to change, general things you should have in any resume. Excellent verbal and written communication skills, and the ability to interact efficiently. What's really strange about this Sanzaru Games listing is it has pretty much no BS in it. Like, almost every single thing we've read up to this point, every job listing has had some kind of crazy BS thing in it, where it's either you're effectively joining a cult, and they're talking about how you can go to the rooftop at a bar, or how the office is decorated in a tiki theme, or it's a pet friendly environment. Like, no BS there. So I'm now on their website, and Sanzaru Games has a weird, like, monkey with a plus and a minus for a size logo, which is kind of odd. That they have listed on the website: Marvel Powers VR, Oculus Rift, a game called Ripcoil for Oculus, VR Sports Challenge for VR, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice for Nintendo 3DS, Tron Run for Steam and PS4 and Xbox One. Interesting. So, not a lot of games there, but they seem to be doing pretty decent as far as licensed games. Like, so working with a company that works with a lot of licensed games isn't super solid, but it is also not terrible because at least they're getting some money and they can get the jobs. I'm looking at some of the older works. They did God of War for the PS Vita port. They did the Dark Manor. It's still loading pictures. Did Sly Cooper. They did Mystery Case Files, the Malgrove Incident. They did a Sly trilogy. They did a game called Ninja Reflex. They did a Ratchet and Clank game. It seems like a lot of the things they've done have been shorter games. So that might be a slight concern that there's no major incidents of they've made a long 60-hour game. So that's something to consider. But if you're the environmental artist, who cares? Like, in the end, that's just going to mean less work for you. Let's see. Should I play a coin? No. Ubisoft, by the way, if you want to work for one of the most hated video game companies out there, has a user interface programmer in C++. If you want to work in Montreal, Canada, you might be required to speak both English and French. Working in Montreal. Let's see. There's a paragraph of BS here talking about Ubisoft. Skip that paragraph. When you're a Ubisoft UI programmer at UB Montreal, wow, too many words. I could not get that out as a sentence. When you are a UI programmer at UB Montreal, you have direct influence over the quality of the game that will end up in the player's hands. BS. Let's just get down to the actual requirements. The daily life of a UI programmer in UB Montreal. This is listed poorly. Code new and existing UI systems to meet the intent of the game design and flow. Keep it coherent with existing code. Understand existing functions and suggest and develop improvements. How are you supposed to understand existing functions of proprietary code before you even work for the people? Explain that one to me. Collaborate with designers and artists on layouts, resolve UI bugs, document your work. This may be Assassin's Creed. Pretty much, it's like, we're going to have you work on the next Assassin's Creed game as the user interface. Which, it wouldn't be terrible to get to try and do something completely different with Assassin's Creed and get rid of all the future stuff completely, but then you need some new interface thing. What it takes to make it is the next paragraph. You need an undergraduate degree in computer science or software engineering, 3 years of experience in C++ and optimizing code, experience in gameplay, UI, and design, menus and HUDs, heads-up displays, experience as part of a team that has shipped a video game as is an asset, experience developing on video game consoles, PlayStation, Xbox, proficiency to communicate with all disciplines to support and elevate the team in terms of quality and vision of the game, familiar with Scaleform and Adobe Flash is an asset. You are creative and thirsty for innovation. Does Ubisoft really innovate in their games? I thought they iterated in their games. That would be my guess. Like, no requirement that you speak French, though, although it probably would help. Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend too many people actually apply for that one, and there's certainly a list of requirements there that you would have already had to make a game. That they don't want anybody new in the industry. Uh, Speaking of not wanting people, there was a interview where Miyazaki talked about how Nintendo doesn't particularly want people who are obsessed with video games working at Nintendo, which is fair enough because you certainly aren't going to be making a lot of new IP or even that many games in general if you are working for Nintendo. And this is probably Nintendo Japan, so I assume that they mostly are trying to weed out people who are just completely obsessed with video games and have no other life whatsoever. There is a long history of people, Miyazaki in particular, getting his ideas from his other interests and putting them into video games. Uh, so I think he's working off that theory. I don't know if that is exactly the right theory to work off, but I get what he's thinking. Do I have a secret I can play? Let's see, I'm going through Twitter a second time now just to see if there's anything new to purchase. Not purchase. New to review or new news. And there isn't. Okay, so So, with the news being done, and us being about an hour through, and nobody talking on the chat, let's just, after this game, look at what's on the Americas account. And then after I look at the Americas account, I'll wrap up the recording, and we're going to the post show, and it's just going to be the rest of probably hours, starting late at 7 o'clock right now, Central Time, and it's like, yeah, this is going to go till 10. This is going to go forever. I should probably just concede because this guy's wasting my time.
I concede.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know how to do it anymore. I don't know how to stream and just talk to myself, particularly since I'm covering the news, and once I'm out of that. So on the post game, we need to get everything done. There's 6 victories on this. There was, I believe, 4 more victories on the European account. And the Americas account, we can cheat all we want, but I've added so much more of a struggle, really. so much more of a struggle by having 3 accounts. At a certain point, maybe I just need to give up on the European and Asian account. Maybe it was just too ambitious, and the people that wanted to play me, like when people wanted to play me, they've kind of disappeared. And so if somebody new came out and said, I want to play on the European account, that'd be fine, but it's not going to work. Here I need to get 50 rogue class cards, warrior class cards, and damage to enemy heroes. So I could probably play this all in ranked play, and that would not be a bad move. We still need to get each of the accounts to rank 20 until I can finally decide to stop doing that. Let's see. This is disenchant 4 of those cards. And then there's 2 new ones. One of which is a golden, so I can just disenchant that for 50 dust. If the button wants to work, which it doesn't. And then, what was the new card here? You would think with all the cards I have on my main account, I'd be doing better. But you really aren't. So, let's see. Classic card. And then we'll type in missing. I'm not sure. We've got some epics still that we are trying to get rid of. So that'd be 400 dust. And if I was just to do all cards missing, we could go through this and create things 1 for 100. I don't think I have any common cards that are missing. Let's see. Common. Did I misspell common? Is it 1 N, 1 M? Or maybe I have to type something different. Just try rare. Yeah. So yeah, I've got every single common card in the game. We're just up to rare. And maybe by the end of 2018 we would get all of the rare cards. Particularly if I just sorted this down to standard rares. And we started to make sure we have them all. I don't know. Things like this, probably not a terrible card to make. Could have also made that. Actually, it kind of seems like it's doable. If this is 800 dust here, and there's maybe 10 to 20 like more here. Yep. Seems like we could get all the rare cards. How are we doing on gold? We're just saving up till that 5,000. Well, that's it for this live stream, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.